Sebastian Porter Gill. It was everything I thought a little boy should grow up to be, and brought out the manly strength in me. I'll ask you, what do little boys love to do? I'll be a little more like him and a little less like me. Oh, I see. Everything Sebastian loves is my ultimate fantasy. Makeup on your face, it's not more important than a hug's embrace. Get rid of the dresses and the clothes, which never impresses. Stop being a bore. Get him to your door. For heaven's sakes, figure out what is fun, or else you're surely done. I built a fire pit for my son and my husband-to-be, which sits year after year after year, waiting patiently. Boys love fire and never retire. Play with earthworms and frogs, turtles, fishes, and dogs. Learn how to use tools. Keep doing school. You always wanted to play with the boys. Go after their man toys. Oh, my Sebastian reminiscing will surely bring about love and kissing. Sebastian Porter Gill was my little boy dream, which brought the man out of me. Okay, so I was going to try and make that into a song, but I don't know. I don't know how to, I can't think of a tune for it. And so I kind of made a silly one a second ago. And right now I am thinking about how I can take it more into a serious, you can get to know my thoughts on that particular poem right now. Okay, so I went through all those years trying to be the girl that that I thought that a boy would want, and then so I got here when I got to my house, and I reconstructed my whole idea of everything at my house. When I started doing construction and everything else that I've learned how to do, and I think partially I did a lot of those things because I had this fear that I needed to have to learn how to do everything myself. And it was better to be sure of that than to put it into somebody else's hand that I will eventually end up with a mate that's going to know how to do all these things that I didn't know how to do. So that was the first reason. But there was a second reason that made me feel good because I used to feel a lot of times like I was being left out when my entire childhood, when I wanted to play with my brother and my cousin, or even as I grew older when my dad had his friends, and then they're talking about going to have these get-togethers at a lodge and all kinds of stuff it was like, and then seeing them like have lawnmower races and have all these tools and always had seemed like they were always having more fun than women were ever able to have. And so I was always a little bit jealous of all of that. And so, when I was in middle school, probably, I didn't want to be on the girls' teams. I wanted to try and sign up to be on the boys' team. And I think a lot of that had to do with when my brother and my cousin would always run away from me. And I wanted to play whatever it was that they were playing because um, they were the same age as me. And it looked like the thing that they were enjoying themselves with whatever it was they were getting into. But it was always like, get away from Chelsea. And so that whole dynamic, I still feel that. And so there's a very satisfying thing, a feeling that I get whenever I am able to do things myself that a man could do, and and not have to feel like I'm some little, weak thing following someone around asking for help, or that I'm having to watch a bunch of men do things that they seem like they get to enjoy that I get left out of. Because I can say, I've got my own workshop that I've created, and I can come up with my own ideas, and I can do all these things myself, and I don't have to feel left out anymore. And so that became my new philosophy. And as far as what I'm talking about with Sebastian, is that when I went through that phase of thinking about what is it that would make a little boy be interested in a girl who is completely obsessed with things like if she gets her eye makeup wet, or her hair windblown, or her makeup's not on done right, or she's not in the best shape to be in a swimsuit, or all these stresses that girls get been out of shape about. I was thinking about my childhood, and I was like, why would any boy like any of those things? And I just, like, it kind of crushed the whole feminine creation that I had made before, about, kind of following the example of other women. But I after I just dwelled on it, I was like, there's nothing fun about that. There's nothing. I don't know why anybody would want to make that a part of their life. And so I just started doing things that were, I guess you would say, just whatever I felt like doing, and just to learn about it. And like, for example, at one point I went to just walk around the lake, and I was trying to find giant rocks for putting at the bottom of my pond. And whenever I was like trailing through the bushes and all of that stuff, somebody had left these buckets hidden in the shade with a bunch of crawdads, or they call them crawfish or crawdads, in there. And so I grabbed those buckets. They were alive in there, and so I grabbed those buckets and I took them home before I had finished doing all the. I eventually ended up putting a rubberized sealer all over my pond. My old swimming pool concrete. So in the process of when I was doing that, I was teaching Minnie how to be a hunter in the fish pond, and I would put these these rocks around inside the pond where she would be able to swim out to a certain distance because she's a small dog. She's a miniature dachshund. She'd be able to swim out to a certain distance in the deep end and be able to get food. And so I went and picked up those crawdads, and then I went and picked up a sack of minnows, and then I was teaching her how to fish for live food, and she very, very much enjoyed doing that. And then during this whole time, I was getting to know about these crawdads, and they did some very peculiar behavior. I thought I was in sync with their antennas and all this kind of stuff, but I very, very much enjoyed those activities. And I still do enjoy getting outside and being with wildlife. I guess that's one of my favorite things to do. But and as a secondary thing, which I do enjoy, I do love to exercise and dance around to music. And I've gotten really bored with music, and I think that I should try and bring a singing voice out of me, which I've never experimented with. I don't know much about it, but I would like to explore that. But I have tried so much to think about what it is that drives our behavior to think that we need to fit into this stereotype about what a woman should be or what a man should be, when a lot of times what people do about any kind of stereotype is to try and break free from those kinds of restrictions. And if you've ever been ostracized or told you weren't allowed to play with a certain group, or you weren't allowed to do certain things because you were a girl, that makes you want to do those things. And if you were told that you had to do some things because you were a girl, it's what is really most pleasurable for me? And I think that any person just has to explore those things. And with any kind of hobby or whatever that you get into, things fade, and not everything sticks with you. And so you're always going to have to be exploring about new things that you can get into. As far as love goes and being in a relationship, I don't know about those things. I get a little bit flustered about all this shadow projection type stuff about doing that to other people that gets promoted, because I don't think that it's true. It's not true in my case, I don't think, because I've never really been a person that goes around wanting to change people. What I would like to do is just to figure out how do you really get to know people without people seeming like they're trying to put on some sort of front with you. I don't know how to get past that. I do not know how to get past that. I don't want to go around to the entire world always having to be the one that is producing a monologue and telling everything about myself, like I am a little girl who has gone home to her mother to tell her about school, and the mother doesn't want to sit there and tell anything about herself because it's her job to take care of the daughter. So it's like all about you. How was your day? How was how can I serve you? And you're like, I am used to taking care of myself. And I don't like to, if the conversation is always going to be about me, and I'm just having to repeat it to another person who I don't know, and the other person is just there to ask me things that that I don't need to be asked, that I can go ahead and do whatever it is, then I don't like that. It makes me feel like I'm in a situation I'm too old to be in that type of situation. That's what I mean when I say a one-sided relationship. It's like anything, like, and I guess that's just how it is with businesses, because a business wants to serve you, and so they ask you questions. But if they put up self checkouts and all these things where you can take care of it yourself, then I don't even see the point of the conversations at the other side of the equation. It's not going to reveal anything about themselves. It's like, why can't we come up with a different system than that, where if you feel like the situation's not fair, where there's a shopper and then there's the person that works there, there could be ideas implemented where you could like start volunteer opportunities or anything, but just to have one person to be there to be checking on another person or serving another person, it always feels a little bit awkward to me. I don't like it. And so I haven't gotten to the place where I feel like